Ask anyone to name the greatest invention ever. Most people say the wheel, and they are pointing at the wrong half of it, because the wheel is the easy part. A round thing that rolls is not a hard idea. Anyone who moved a stone on a log has watched it work. The hard part is the middle, a shaft that holds up a loaded cart while spinning. That is the actual invention, and it took us an absurdly long time. Here is how late. We were farming 11,000 years ago, firing pottery in kilns 9,000 years ago, weaving cloth, smelting copper, building towns with walls around them. We had crossed open oceans 60,000 years before that. The oldest wheel anyone has found is 5,500 years old. Cities already existed. Writing was almost here. The wheel is not where technology starts. It turns up near the end of the list. And that is strange, because rolling is not a secret. Round rocks roll downhill. Nobody had to be told. So the delay was not about ideas. People were waiting for the engineering to become possible at all. Start with what people actually did. You need to move something enormous, a stone block, a boat. So you lay logs in a row ahead of it, and you push. The load rides forward on them. Each log rolls out the back. Somebody carries it forward and lays it down again. It works. It genuinely works. But look at what it costs. Flat ground, cleared ground. Hard ground, because soft earth swallows logs. And a crew of people doing nothing but carrying logs forward. That is not transport. That is a construction method. To travel, the rolling part has to come with you. And the moment you attach it, everything gets difficult. A loose roller carries weight, but nothing holds it there. Now fix it to a cart. The load presses down through the cart body, into a shaft, and out into the wheels. And that shaft has to turn. Either the wheel spins around the shaft, or the shaft spins inside the cart. Either way, two surfaces slide together under everything you own. That contact is a bearing. And every problem from here is a bearing problem. Start with thickness. Drag depends on how fat it is. A thick axle drags a bigger circle every turn, so it wipes more surface and fights you harder. Have the diameter, have the friction, so you want it thin. But a thin wooden shaft under half a ton snaps. It snaps on the worst road, miles from anywhere, with the whole harvest on it. So the axle lives in a narrow band, thick enough to survive, thin enough to turn. Now the hole. The wheel needs a hole, and it has to sit exactly in the center, out by a centimeter, and the wheel does not roll. It hops. Every rotation lifts the cart and drops it again, hammering the shaft twice a second. The hole must match the shaft. Too tight and it binds. Too loose and the wheel rocks, and rocking wears the round hole oval, and an oval is finished. The gap between those failures is a few millimeters. Then, the surface itself. Wood on wood is not a bearing, it is a break. It has to be hard and smooth, and cut so the grain runs right, because end grain crushes and side grain holds. Then, the road joins in. Dust, sand, grit. It works into the gap, and the bearing is no longer smooth. It becomes sandpaper. The cart grinds itself apart, which is why the fix is as old as the cart. Grease, animal fat packed in the hole. Later, tar and bitumen. It floats the surfaces apart and seals out the grit. Excavated axles still show the residue. Without it, a wooden axle seizes in a day. And something must hold all this. The body cannot rest on the shaft. It needs blocks that grip it and spread the load without splitting when the cart hits a rut. Because a pothole does not add a little weight. For an instant, it doubles it. So every joint survives a load it meets for a split second. Now add the tools. To build any of it, you must bore a clean round hole straight through hard timber, cut a truly round disc, and shave a shaft to fit, with no ruler at all. Stone chops and scrapes. It cannot cut a bore. You need chisels, gouges, and a saw that holds an edge. You need metal. And look at the dates. Copper working spreads, and the wheel appears right behind it. The wheel never waited for an idea. It was waiting for a workshop. Which explains something odd. The potter's wheel is older than the cart. Same principle, same rotation, centuries earlier. Because a potter's wheel is an axle on easy mode. It stays in one place. It sits indoors, out of the dust. It carries a lump of clay, not a ton of grain. The weight presses straight down onto one small pivot you can grease and clean anytime. No road, no mud, no shock. So rotation was learned sitting down. Putting it on the road came later, and when it came, it spread fast. Around 3,500 BC, carts appear in Mesopotamia. A clay pot from Poland is scratched with a wagon at almost the same time. A wooden wheel from a Slovenian marsh is 5,200 years old, and it still has its axle, a square hole, a square shaft, turning as one locked piece in bearings under the cart. Somebody solved it, and everybody copied. And now the awkward part. Plenty of people met the wheel and turned it down. In the Andes, the Inca ran a road network thousands of kilometers long and used no wheeled transport at all, not because they never thought of it. In Mesoamerica, children played with clay animals rolling on tiny axles. The idea was there, as a toy. The problem was everything around it. No oxen, no horses. A llama carries 30 kilos and will not pull, and a cart is useless without one. Then look at the ground. Mountain paths, staircases, rope bridges. A wheel needs a prepared road, and a road must be built and repaired. On a steep slope, a person with a pack beats a cart every time, and it happened in reverse. Across North Africa and the Middle East, the cart was normal, and then it quietly vanished. Camels took over. No roads to maintain, no cartwright, no harness. Cheaper per load over worse ground. Whole cities were rebuilt without wheels, which is why those old streets are narrow, stepped, and winding. The wheel is not automatically better. It is better with animals, flat land, and roads worth building. But where it worked, it did not stay a cart. Because what was actually invented was not a vehicle. It was a shaft that turns under load, and you can point it anywhere. Put it in a river, a water wheel. Stand it up, a millstone, a lathe. Put teeth on two of them. Gears. Gears give you mills and clocks. Every engine turns a crankshaft and bearings. Every motor, every turbine, every drive. All of it is the same problem, solved with better metal and grease. We named it after the round part, because that is the part you see. But the wheel was never the invention. The invention was the hole, and the shaft that fits it.